being here and for making this press conference possible. My husband has been behind bars 633 days today. The FBI came and raided our house. He was 7 years law enforcement when they came in on January 6th. The same videos that the government used to charge him with exonerate him if they would only turn on the audio and if they would not tailor it in front of the judge. He was trying to save Roseanne Boylan's life, who unfortunately passed away, was murdered by Metro PD officer Lila Morris. He also was helping an officer who was down. And every time he went to pick up that officer, they charged him with assault with a deadly weapon. So he has 4 felony charges on him, 3 misdemeanors. He's facing 68 years in prison. He is now 29. He's missed 2 birthdays, 2 holidays, 2 everything. And I just kind of want to give you what it looks like in our life as a J6 family. Thankfully, we don't have any children, but on August 17th, 2021, I received a call from the FBI saying that they had apprehended my husband and they were going to raid our house. They were at our house for 5 hours. They took 14 items, including our flag on our front porch. It was 597 days before I saw him behind glass for 30 minutes talking on a telephone. I have gone 5 days without knowing where my husband is at. Now, mind you, he knows the system. He was law enforcement 7 years. He did nothing wrong on January 6th, but he is being persecuted and prosecuted like he went out and he watched a cop murder somebody, but they are treating him like he was the one that murdered Roseanne Boyland. You know, we've gone, he's been at 7 different facilities. It's called diesel therapy if you look it up. It's a form of punishment in the U.S. He's been held in 24/7 solitary confinement, which is illegal. For 7 days, he wasn't allowed to shower, make a phone call. His family had no idea where he was. He's now held in 23-1, and they are in 4x4 cells. You can walk 2 steps, and then you have to walk back. They have nothing but a bed, a 1-inch mattress. He hasn't had a pillow in 633 days. He's lost 60 pounds. All at one point he had was a Bible and a jail handbook. We ask ourselves, this is going on in D.C. On September 5th, 2022, I found out from a call from a gentleman, another man inside the facility, that my husband was assaulted. He wasn't wearing a COVID mask while taking oral medication, and a lieutenant sprayed an entire can of OC spray in his eyes, 1 inch from his face. Mind you, he was taking oral medication, and they have lived in this facility. At this point, he had been there for over a year in what we would consider a living room, not allowed to leave. They didn't have visitation, they didn't have haircuts, they didn't have religious services, so they literally lived in this living room. But he got in trouble for not wearing a COVID mask while taking oral medication. She walked up to him, said that he had assaulted her and sprayed him with OC spray, which is a higher form of bear mace. The same thing that they are charging January 6th defendants with is what he got assaulted with. They threw him on the ground, handcuffed him, and again sprayed him with another can of OC spray, saying that he was not complying. The pod then got in an uproar and started yelling at this lieutenant, and they tried to charge him with inciting a riot. They left him in a cell for 13 hours without a shower while this reactivated on his skin. They finally gave him a shower, and he said, "Sarah, the only way I can explain it to you is you have a sunburn and you hop into a hot tub." That's how it felt when they were trying to treat this. Their way of taking care of this, he was kicked out of the facility and went to 3 different facilities. That lieutenant is now gone, and there is legal action against the U.S. Marshals and the facility itself. But this is a never-ending thing for us. People ask me how I get through this, and I say 1 day at a time, because that's how often things can change. I got a call at 5 a.m. one morning because it was from another inmate at another facility telling me that he was being moved again. So my whole day I had no idea. I just had to start praying and ask God to protect him, because he's not only protective custody because he's a J6er, he's also protective custody because he's a cop. And anybody that knows law enforcement, when you are on the other side of the wall, you are a target. So, you know, this is how our life has looked for the last 633 days. He will be behind bars 26 months before he steps in front of a judge for a jury trial. At that point, he is one of 4, as of right now, could get bigger. He's one of 4 that will be tried in front of the same jury in D.C. because they are not allowed to change a venue. Again, D.C. is not a jury of his peers. There's a 97% conviction rate right now. He is facing 68 years of his life for standing up for somebody, trying to save a woman's life on January 6th, and helping an officer. Again, all of this is on video. 10 minutes of his life, and the government has acknowledged he never hurt anybody that day, yet he is still being persecuted. In September, after my husband was assaulted, I decided I can't stay quiet anymore because we have to be a voice for the voiceless. And so we created the Real J6 with another gentleman, Shane Jenkins, who is also inside, just got found guilty on 10 charges, facing 10 to 15 years in prison. And we knew that our fight was far from over. So we created the Real J6, and we just recently, we haven't even hardly announced it yet, we just filed for 501c3 nonprofit for prison reform, re-entry, and family services. Because even when these guys get out, the damage has already been done. They can release them in the next 5 seconds, doesn't matter. They've been in there 2 years, haven't seen their family, their loved ones, even via video. They have just completely destroyed their lives. So we know our fight's far from over. As soon as these guys get out, we have to make sure that this will never happen again, because I promise you, if they're gonna come after somebody like my husband, they're gonna come after you. It's only a matter of time. I would like to introduce two other people, two other J6ers themselves, Mark and Jaleese Middleton.
Thank y'all for having us. My name is Jaleese Middleton. This is my husband, Mark Middleton. We two were J6ers. We were there at the Capitol that day. One of the things that makes our story stand out a little differently, we were in prayer on the right side of the barricades.
That's right.
We did not go in the Capitol. We did not breach a barricade. We were in prayer when my husband and I began to be struck by the Metro Police Department. It started with us in prayer, and I felt a hit on my hand, and when I turned to see what had just happened, I hear my husband scream out. I look over to see his back to the police line, and they are absolutely wailing on him with batons, striking about his head and his shoulders. When I jumped into the police line to stop them from attacking my husband, they tried to pull me over the barricades. At that point, I call him my angel, but a man from behind picked me up like I was a rag doll and pulled me out of the grips of the Metro Police Department. From there, we ended up with a raid on our home. That raid included an MRAP, which is a nice term for a tank. We were flashbang grenaded. We had 22 federal agents on our property. We had 2 SWAT teams and M4s pointed at us because we are so dangerous for having the audacity to stand up for what is right.
That's right.
You know, we were there for no other reason, but we felt there was enough evidence to question that there may be a stolen election. We weren't asking for someone to agree with us. We were asking for integrity. And when we started seeing it swept under the rug, it confirmed there was something wrong. A simple investigation could have at least given them the optics they needed for this. From there, we have spent the night in jail. And by the way, we were so dangerous that they needed a tank to arrest us. They let us out on our own recognizance the next day. We've been living this nightmare for 2 years, and we're the lucky ones. We still have our home. We still have our family beside us. Most J6ers have lost their homes. They've lost their families. They've been alienated from our communities. It's like wearing a scarlet letter in modern time. Or like I love one of my dear friends has stated, we are the lepers of modern day society. Because everyone will nod their head in agreement with you, but they won't stand up for you.
That's right.
So from there, I'm gonna let my husband pick up on where that has brought us.
So, good afternoon, I'm Mark Middleton, and thank all of y'all for coming out and those in the audience online. So from there, the government wants to silence all of us. They want to terrify us and they want to silence us. But instead of silencing Jaleese and I, what it did is it pissed us off. and it made us stand up and speak out. Because we're just 2 of 1,100 right now. So what we did is we formed American Patriot Relief, because at the time there was nobody helping the J6ers. We were truly the lepers of society. And we started hearing stories from the various J6 mothers and the J6 wives and the other J6ers that we were starting to get in contact with. So we formed American Patriot Relief to not fund necessarily the legal fees, but to help the families. When J6ers need to go to and from DC for their trials, we're helping fund that, to send them there. For the families to finally now, after 2 years, are able to go see their family members, helping fund that as well. And then if the family needs shoes for the children, a lot of J6ers, what a lot of people don't know, we're single income families. Dad's now in prison, sometimes for up to over 2 years now. Who's helping feed those children? Who's buying them shoes? Who's paying for mom's car to get fixed when it broke down? That's what we're doing at American Patriot Relief. And we're gonna keep doing this, and whatever happens to Jaleesa and I, our trial is August 21st. We've placed ourselves into God's hands. This is truly a movement of God. We are trying to be the hands and feet of Jesus Christ. And we need all of y'all to help us do that as well. Thank y'all.